Am I on? Ha! Great. Welcome to the Working Men Podcast, the show about most everything, especially about just getting by. Recorded on a TI-84 for your listening pleasure and broadcasting from whatever job site I am currently trapped at. I am your host. Who am I? Maybe I'm me, maybe I'm you, but I am the working man. Today we're going to be talking about hustle culture. Now, some of you might be wondering what exactly is hustle culture, and if you are anything like me, I grew up in not the best situation and not the best, shall we say, circumstances. So, usually, hustling meant being up to no good. However, in the modern day, hustle culture has come to mean getting on your grind, working 2 jobs, basically just working yourself to the bone. Now, for a lot of people, this can be a pretty, positive thing, at least viewed positively by some, in the sense that, man, I am out here working these 2 jobs just trying to take care of my family. And granted, that's a good thing. However, there is a dark side of hustle culture, and that's primarily what the focus of what we're talking about today is. I see a number of videos, whether that's on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, that are all about hustling and being an entrepreneur. And I will tell you that, at least for me, in the modern day and age, the term entrepreneur has come to be, it's so cringy nowadays. I'm an entrepreneur. How many people do you hear say entrepreneur and you immediately just kind of write them off? Personally, outside of everything else I do, I am a business owner. And, there's a certain level of, respect and admiration that people at least seem to think other people will have for you when you introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Working Man, and I am a business owner. But business owner has a lot of different meanings. That could mean that you run an Etsy shop. That could mean that you run a multi-million-dollar construction company. Whatever the case, it doesn't necessarily mean success. So, being an entrepreneur, the idea of starting businesses, getting on your grind, hustling just to, it's picked up this whole new meaning in the modern day that from the outside, relatively on the outside, looking in, quite honestly, it's depressing. It's depressing to see people having to work multiple jobs. It's depressing to see people spinning their wheels. And I'm not trying to knock anybody's hustle here, but there is a slippery slope between being on your quote-unquote hustle, being on your quote-unquote grind, and, eventually starting to get into these Andrew Tate videos, the Sigma male, alpha mindset, all this kind of stuff. There are a number of people out here that will tell you that the only way to change your circumstance is to basically just work yourself to death. And while I will say that, obviously, as a business owner, I work quite a bit, Sometimes I even work an unhealthy amount, and that is something that I have to keep in check. But at the end of the day, there is not a whole, at the end of the day, when you evaluate it, looking into someone else's life, you might see the end result if they've become successful and made something of themselves, as far as monetarily speaking, or at least in a better frame of mind. They've reached a place where they've obtained financial freedom in such a way. Well, if you have reached that point and you're looking into someone else's life, you're seeing that end result. At the end of the day, if they were busting their hump to get there and they've reached that light at the end of the tunnel, that's great. Props to you. But at the same time, the journey to that point has to be a healthy one. It has to be. If you are a family man or woman out there and you have children that you're responsible for, you can't just up and neglect your family for sake of getting on your grind. And I know that there are a lot of people that do not have a choice. I was one of those people. I grew up in a house as one of those kids that I did not see my parent very often because of how much work there was to be done. Or on the flip side, I spent a lot of time at my parents' job. And I am not trying to shame people that work hard. But at the same time, if you're someone out here that is spending all of your waking hours working, and so much of that work is for the hashtag grind set, for the hashtag hustling, trying to work yourself into an early grave in the pursuit of financial success, then at the very least, what I will warn you of is that you need to be careful. I, again, am obviously not shy when it comes to working hard. I am 100 miles from home, taking a break on the job site, as every podcast episode is recorded on the job site. It's pouring rain outside right now. I'm soaked to the bone. But at the same time, I have the luxury of an established work-life balance. Every person that works for me, it is my goal and ambition that they are able to spend time with their family, that they are able to make enough money to not only pay their rent or their mortgage, their car payments, but also just live and survive. I'm a small business and I don't employ a lot of people, but I will gladly take a pay cut on my end if it means that the people that work for me are able to have a healthy work-life balance and can take care of their own responsibilities, family, pets, goldfish, bills, all of it. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are working, I know people that are out here working 14-hour days with one job, half an hour break, next job. Their biggest break is taking the time to change their uniform. If that's you, then I hope that instead of being trapped in a mindset of idolizing that sort of lifestyle, that I'm going to be out here just working myself to the bone every single day, that ultimately there's an end goal here where that's no longer the case. There's a lot of successful business people out there, or at least people that project the image of success, millionaires, even billionaires, that will talk about how I work 100 hours a week. Look at Elon Musk, always talking about how he works just endlessly. And that's great and all, but that sounds like a hellish lifestyle. I don't know about you, but if I had reached a certain level of success where I was not even a hundredth of the net worth of someone like Elon Musk, I wouldn't be sitting there bragging about how I work 100 hours a week. That projects the wrong image to other people. That projects the wrong image to your workforce. What I would be sitting here talking about is how I'm working on making sure that I have a healthy work-life balance. And I'm working on making it so that the people that work for me are able to have a healthy work-life balance. Because I'm here to tell you that if you run a business, right now, business owners, from one business owner to another, if you run a business and your employees are out here working endless hours to get things done, to take care of ultimately whatever job you've been hired to do on your behalf, and they're not able to be with their family. I'm not talking away from home 40 hours a week. I'm talking these dudes are out here grinding 70-hour schedules. Then you are understaffed. And odds are, these guys are underpaid. Most people don't work 70 hours by choice. They work 70 hours because that's how many hours they need to work in order to make enough money to take care of their responsibilities. People have hobbies and passions, and so I'm going to tell you again, from one business owner to another, if you're hearing this, that if your employees are working like that, that's not how it's supposed to be. This is not some sort of anti-work episode or anything like that. But what I will say is that I see a lot of people out here on the internet under this grind set, hustle mindset, that leads to these, again, Andrew Tate style videos where they both idolize the old-fashioned, quote-unquote, old-fashioned, old-school culture of, say, a bygone era, 50s, 60s, whatever, style, where people, worked their factory job and were able to support their family, but then will also advocate for people just working endlessly 100-hour work weeks in order to accomplish a certain goal. That should never be the case. That is a ticking time bomb on your way to the loony bin, no matter how disciplined you are. Even during my time periods of, working 70 plus hours a week, I take time just because of my unique work schedule I still have the ability to be with my family for extended periods of the day. I still have the ability to go to the gym, to have a bit of downtime. And even with that luxury that certain people are not afforded, working that much time is just going to drive you crazy. You're going to end up in the loony bin. So, as someone that would consider himself not an entrepreneur, but a business owner at the very least, I will say that so many people have such a foul taste in their mouth when it comes to the heavy, entrepreneur hustle lifestyle, because this is a game that takes no prisoners. There is no one out there that is able to just be on that sort of constant nose to the grindstone without it having its effect. And sure, you can say, look at how successful this person or that person is, but at the same time, I'm willing to guarantee you that most every billionaire, most every millionaire, most every successful person you know that advocates for those sort of crazy, unrealistic hours, you will find some sort of breakdown, some sort of time. And this is not to shame anyone, but time where, this successful person has just kind of gone off their rocker, for lack of a better term. And what do you think causes that? Granted, we're all human, but at the same time, someone like Elon Musk, he's a controversial figure. He he says and does a lot of, at the very least, strange things. How much of that can be, if he genuinely is working 100 hours a week, how much of that can be chalked up to this dude probably is not actually sleeping? This dude, if he's working 100 hours a week, is not taking care of himself. And potentially, think about how much better of a public image Elon Musk could have if he had some sort of healthy work-life balance and was able to relate to people in a more down-to-earth kind of way, in a more empathetic kind of way. Could be a game changer for that man's career. So, ultimately, what I am advocating for here, some food for thought on this weekly episode, is if you find yourself glorifying the hustle culture, the grind set, consider, before you get in too deep, consider your own needs, consider the needs of the people that are potentially dependent upon you, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because working hard is admirable, and there's no one that is truly going to deny that. But taking care of yourself, as unfortunately unsexy as people, especially within American society, might find that sort of mindset to be, taking care of yourself is what is ultimately going to enable you to be able to successfully pursue business opportunities and to successfully be able to just get to that place of, I think for most people, the end goal of financial freedom. which to me, financial freedom looks like the ability to live your life without having to consider the financial aspect of things when it comes to making day-to-day decisions. To be able to buy lunch without worrying about how that's going to ultimately affect your ability to pay rent, and so on. So, stay healthy, take care of yourselves. Odds are, if you've found this podcast, if you're a new listener, the title of this podcast might leave you considering that this is going to be another grind set, hustle, ambition type podcast. That is not the case. If you have a boss out there that's demanding that you get on your grind, you might want to consider getting a new boss. If you're demanding of yourself that you just suck it up and work all these crazy hours, if that's the situation that you've been forced into in order to survive, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that you are able to get to a place where you're able to work a job or be in a different situation where that's no longer necessary. Believe me, you are able to pursue your goals and ambitions without killing yourself. Because when you say you grind it out 70 hours a week, every week, for the next 15 years, if that's what it takes to reach your goals, how much of you is going to be left to enjoy where you're at? Say right now you're 30 years old and you grind for the next 15 years, 70 hours a week. How much of you is going to be left to be able to actually enjoy, say you retire early? Or say you just reach a place of financial well-being where you don't have to work as hard anymore. That's fantastic. But as everyone that has ever come out of lower income situations knows, being broke is expensive. Because having to work all sorts of crazy hours means missed doctor's appointments. It means not taking care of your physical well-being. It means not being able to eat healthy. It means not being able to practice proper hygiene even sometimes, or practice discipline when it comes to taking care of yourself physically, whether that's going to the gym or just having walks in the park and enjoying nature, getting the right amounts of vitamin D. Let's stop glorifying hustle culture and start glorifying pursuing success, whatever that means for you, within the boundaries of a healthy mindset. Anyway, it is time for me to get back to work. I hope that all of you have a fantastic week, and I hope that all of you are able to continue to work on whatever goal it is that you're working towards, but maybe this week try and practice doing it a little bit healthier. Have a good week, guys.